Okay, now we come to the 21st Sutta, Kakacupama Sutta, the simile of the saw. Thus have I heard. On one occasion, the Blessed One was living at Savatthi in Jeta's Grove, Anathapindika's park. Now on that occasion, the Venerable Molya Paguna was associating overmuch with nuns. Nuns here refers to bhikkhunis. During the Buddha's time, they had bhikkhunis. He was associating so much with nuns that if any monk spoke dispraise of those nuns in his presence, he would become angry and displeased and would rebuke him. And if any monk spoke dispraise of the Venerable Molya Paguna in those nuns' presence, they would become angry and displeased and would rebuke him. So much was the Venerable Molya Paguna associating with nuns. Stop here for a moment. So this Molya Paguna was too friendly with the nuns, and they liked him so much that if anybody spoke ill of him, they would get angry. And he also liked them so much that if anybody criticized the nuns, he would get angry. Then a certain monk went to the Blessed One, and after paying homage to him, sat down at one side and told the Blessed One what was taking place. Then the Blessed One addressed a certain monk thus, "Come, monk, tell the monk Molya Paguna in my name that the teacher calls him." "Yes, Venerable Sir," he replied. And he went to the Venerable Molya Paguna and told him, "The teacher calls you, friend Paguna." "Yes, friend," he replied, and he went to the Blessed One, and after paying homage to him, sat down at one side. The Blessed One asked him, "Paguna, is it true that you are associating overmuch with nuns, that you are associating so much with nuns that if any monk speaks dispraise of those nuns in your presence, you become angry and displeased and rebuke him? And if any monk speaks dispraise of you in those nuns' presence, they become angry and displeased and rebuke him. Are you associating so much with nuns as it seems?" "Yes, Venerable Sir." "Paguna, are you not a clansman who has gone forth out of faith from the home life into homelessness?" "Yes, Venerable Sir." "Paguna, it is not proper for you, a clansman gone forth out of faith from the home life into homelessness, to associate overmuch with nuns. Therefore, if anyone speaks dispraise of those nuns in your presence, you should abandon any desires and any thoughts based on the household life. And herein you should train thus, my mind will be unaffected, and I shall utter no evil words. I shall abide compassionate for his welfare, with a mind of loving kindness, without inner hate. That is how you should train Paguna." I'll stop here for a moment. So here you notice the Buddha says, you should abandon any desires and any thoughts based on the household life. In other words, don't act like a lay person. When we are a layman, we act in a worldly way, but when we put on the robe and train in the spiritual path, then we cultivate higher thoughts, higher actions, etc. So the Buddha says, no matter what they say, you should always have loving kindness, practice loving kindness. Don't get angry, don't go back to your layman days. And the Buddha continued, "If anyone gives those nuns a blow with his hand, with a cloth, with a stick, or with a knife in your presence, you should abandon any desires and any thoughts based on the household life. And herein you should train thus, my mind will be unaffected. If anyone speaks dispraise in your presence, you should abandon any desires and any thoughts based on the household life. And herein you should train thus, my mind will be unaffected, and I shall utter no evil words. I shall abide compassionate for his welfare, with a mind of loving kindness, without inner hate. If anyone should give you a blow with his hand, with a cloth, with a stick, or with a knife, you should abandon any desires and any thoughts based on the household life. And herein you should train thus, my mind will be unaffected, and I shall utter no evil words. I shall abide compassionate for his welfare, with a mind of loving kindness, without inner hate. That is how you should train Paguna." This is the Buddha standard, very hard to practice. Then the Blessed One addressed the monks thus, "Monks, there was an occasion when the monks satisfied my mind. Here I address the monks thus, Monks, I eat at a single session. By so doing, I am free from illness and affliction, and I enjoy health, strength, and a comfortable abiding. Come, monks, eat at a single session. By so doing, you will be free from illness and affliction, and you will enjoy health, strength, and a comfortable abiding. And I had no need to keep on instructing those monks. I had only to arouse mindfulness in them. Suppose there were a chariot on even ground at the crossroads, harnessed to thoroughbreds, waiting with a goat lying ready, so that a skilled trainer, a charioteer of horses to be tamed, might mount it, and taking the reins in his left hand and the goad in his right hand, might drive out and back by any road whenever he likes. So too, I had no need to keep on instructing those monks. I had only to arouse mindfulness in them. Let's stop here for a moment. So here the Buddha says that he eats in one sitting, and he is encouraging the monks to eat in one sitting. And the Buddha says that his monks are like thoroughbreds, just giving them brief instruction and they will follow it, just like thoroughbred horses. Therefore, monks, abandon what is unwholesome and devote yourselves to wholesome states, for that is how you will come to growth, increase and fulfillment in this Dhamma Vinaya. Suppose there were a big sala tree grove near a village or town, and it was choked with castor oil weeds, and some man would appear desiring its good welfare and protection. He would cut down and throw out the crooked saplings that robbed the sap, and he would clean up the interior of the grove and tend the straight, well-formed saplings, so that the sala tree grove later on would come to growth, increase and fulfillment. So too, monks, abandon what is unwholesome and devote yourselves to wholesome states, for that is how you will come to growth, increase and fulfillment in this Dhamma Vinaya. Let's stop here for a moment. So here the Buddha gives a simile where this big sala tree is choked with weeds and creepers and all that, and somebody comes along and cuts out all these weeds and creepers that are choking this tree, and then this tree grows up beautifully. So in the same way, we have our weeds and our creepers choking us, namely our bad habits, our unwholesome habits, thoughts, actions, and speech. So we have to constantly look at our three karmas, the body action, the speech, and the mind, and get rid of these unwholesome states, because these unwholesome states are choking us. Formerly, monks, in this same Savatthi, there was a housewife named Vedehika, and a good report about Mistress Vedehika had spread thus: Mistress Vedehika is kind, Mistress Vedehika is gentle, Mistress Vedehika is peaceful. Now Mistress Vedehika had a maid named Kali, who was clever, nimble and neat in her work. The maid Kali thought, a good report about my lady has spread thus: Mistress Vedehika is kind, Mistress Vedehika is gentle, peaceful. How is it now? While she does not show anger, is it nevertheless actually present in her, or is it absent? Or else is it just because my work is neat that my lady shows no anger, though it is actually present in her? Suppose I test my lady. So the maid Kali got up late. The Mistress Vedehika said, Hey Kali, what is it, madam? What is the matter with you that you get up so late? Nothing is the matter, madam. Nothing is the matter, you wicked girl, yet you get up so late. And she was angry and displeased, and she scowled. Then the maid Kali thought, the fact is that while my lady does not show anger, it is actually present in her, not absent, and it is just because my work is neat that my lady shows no anger, though it is actually present in her, not absent. Suppose I test my lady a little more. So the maid Kali got up later in the day. Then Mistress Vedehika said, Hey Kali, what is it, madam? What is the matter that you get up later in the day? Nothing is the matter, madam. Nothing is the matter, you wicked girl, yet you get up later in the day. And she was angry and displeased, and she spoke words of displeasure. Then the maid Kali thought, the fact is that While my lady does not show anger, it is actually present in her, not absent. Suppose I test my lady a little more. So the maid Kali got up still later in the day. Then Mistress Videhika said, Hey Kali, what is it, madam? What is the matter that you get up still later in the day? Nothing is the matter, madam. Nothing is the matter, you wicked girl. Yet you get up still later in the day. And she was angry and displeased, and she took a rolling pin, gave her a blow on the head and cut her head. Then the maid Kali, with blood running from her cut head, denounced her mistress to the neighbors. See, ladies, the kind ladies' work. See, ladies, the gentle ladies' work. See, ladies, the peaceful ladies' work. How can she become angry and displeased with her only maid for getting up late? How can she take a rolling pin, give her a blow on the head and cut her head? Then later on, a bad report about Mistress Videhika spread thus. Mistress Videhika is rough. Mistress Videhika is violent. Mistress Videhika is merciless. Stop here for a moment. So here the Buddha gives a simile of it's a bit comical. This maid testing the mistress, and the end got a blow on the head. So too monks. Some monk is extremely kind, extremely gentle, extremely peaceful, so long as disagreeable causes of speech do not touch him. But it is when disagreeable causes of speech touch him that it can be understood whether that monk is really kind, gentle, and peaceful. I do not call a monk easy to admonish, who is easy to admonish and makes himself easy to admonish, only for the sake of getting robes, alms, food, a resting place, and medicinal requisites. Why is that? Because that monk is not easy to admonish, nor makes himself easy to admonish, when he gets no robes, alms, food, or resting place, and medicinal requisites. But when a monk is easy to admonish and makes himself easy to admonish because he honors, respects, and reveres the Dhamma, him I call easy to admonish. Therefore, monks, you should train thus. We shall be easy to admonish and make ourselves easy to admonish because we honor, respect, and revere the Dhamma. That is how you should train monks. Stop here for a moment. So here the Buddha is saying there are some monks, they come into monkhood because they want to get a lot of robes and good food and nice place to stay and medical requisites. But when they don't get it, then their true colors will show. So the Buddha says, if a monk respects and trains according to the Dhamma Vinaya, then he is easy to teach, easy to admonish. Monks, there are these 5 causes of speech that others may use when they address you. Their speech may be timely or untimely, true or untrue, gentle or harsh, connected with good or with harm, spoken with a mind of loving kindness or with inner hatred. When others address you, their speech may be timely or untimely. When others address you, their speech may be true or untrue. When others address you, their speech may be gentle or harsh. When others address you, their speech may be connected with good or with harm. When others address you, their speech may be spoken with a mind of loving kindness or with inner hatred. Herein, monks, you should train thus. Our minds will remain unaffected, and we shall utter no evil words. We shall abide compassionate for their welfare, with a mind of loving kindness, without inner hatred. We shall abide pervading that person with a mind imbued with loving kindness, and starting with him, we shall abide pervading the all-encompassing world with a mind imbued with loving kindness, abundant, exalted, immeasurable, without hostility and without ill will. That is how we should train monks. Stop here for a moment. So here, 5 causes of speech. The Buddha says, good speech should have these 5 characteristics. It must be spoken timely, at the right time. For example, you want to advise somebody, don't give him advice when he's angry. So it should be timely. Second one, it must be factual. What you say must be true. Number 3, what you say should be gentle, spoken gently, not loudly, harshly. Number 4, with the mind of benefiting that person. with the intention of what you say should be beneficial, not unbeneficial. And then number 5, spoken with the mind of loving kindness. So when we speak, we have a mind of loving kindness. That is another feature of good speech. So these are the 5 characteristics. So when somebody addresses us, it might not be good speech. Then the Buddha says we should remain unaffected and don't get angry. Have metta, loving kindness, and compassion, no matter what people say. Monks, suppose a man came with a hoe and a basket and said, I shall make this great earth to be without earth. He would dig here and there, strew the soil here and there, spit here and there, and urinate here and there, saying, be without earth, be without earth. What do you think, monks? Could that man make this great earth to be without earth? No, venerable sir. Why is that? Because this great earth is deep and immense. It cannot possibly be made to be without earth. Eventually the man would reap only weariness and disappointment. So too, monks, there are these 5 causes of speech when others address you. So here the Buddha repeats what he said previously. Herein, monks, you should train thus. Our minds will remain unaffected, and starting with him, we shall abide pervading the all-encompassing world, with a mind similar to the earth, abundant, exalted, immeasurable, and without hostility and without ill will. That is how you should train monks. Monks, suppose a man came with crimson, turmeric, indigo, or carmine, and said, I shall draw pictures and make pictures appear on empty space. What do you think, monks? Could that man draw pictures and make pictures appear on empty space? No, venerable sir. Why is that? Because empty space is formless and invisible. He cannot possibly draw pictures there or make pictures appear there. Eventually the man would reap only weariness and disappointment. So too, monks, there are these 5 causes of speech when others address you. And the Buddha repeats what he said previously. Herein, monks, you should train thus. Our minds will remain unaffected, and starting with him, we shall abide pervading the all-encompassing world, with a mind similar to empty space, abundant, exalted, immeasurable, without hostility and without ill will. That is how we should train monks. Monks, suppose a man came with a blazing grass torch and said, I shall heat up and burn away the river Ganges with this blazing grass torch. What do you think, monks? Could that man heat up and burn away the river Ganges with that blazing grass torch? No, venerable sir. Why is that? Because the river Ganges is deep and immense. It cannot possibly be heated up and burned away with a blazing grass torch. Eventually the man will reap only weariness and disappointment. So too, monks, there are these 5 causes of speech when others address you. And here the Buddha repeats again. Herein, monks, you should train thus. Our minds will remain unaffected, and starting with him, we shall abide pervading the all-encompassing world, with a mind similar to the river Ganges, abundant, exalted, immeasurable, without hostility and without ill will. That is how you should train monks. Monks, suppose there were a cat's skin bag that was well rubbed, thoroughly well rubbed, soft, silky, rid of rustling, rid of crackling, and a man came with a stick or a potsherd and said, there is this cat skin bag that is rubbed, thoroughly rubbed, well rubbed, rid of rustling, rid of crackling. I shall make it rustle and crackle. What do you think, monks? Could that man make it rustle or crackle with the stick or the potsherd? No, venerable sir. Why is that? Because that cat skin bag being rubbed, rid of rustling, rid of crackling, cannot possibly be made to rustle or crackle with the stick or the potsherd. Eventually the man would reap only weariness and disappointment. So too, monks, there are these 5 causes of speech when others address you. Their speech may be timely or untimely, true or untrue, gentle or harsh, connected with good or with harm, spoken with the mind of loving kindness or with inner hate. Herein, monks, you should train thus. Our minds will remain unaffected, and we shall utter no evil words. We shall abide compassionate for their welfare, with the mind of loving kindness, without inner hate. We shall abide pervading that person with a mind imbued with loving kindness. And starting with him, we shall abide pervading the all-encompassing world, with a mind similar to a cat's skin bag, abundant, exalted, immeasurable, without hostility and without ill will. That is how we should train monks. Stop here for a moment. So here the Buddha has given many similes to tell us that if we practice loving kindness and compassion, and our loving kindness and compassion is abundant, exalted, immeasurable, then nobody can affect us with unpleasant words, etc. Monks, even if bandits were to sever you savagely limb by limb with a two-handled saw, he who gave rise to a mind of hatred towards them would not be carrying out my teaching. Herein, monks, we should train thus. Our minds will remain unaffected, and we shall utter no evil words, and we shall abide compassionate for their welfare, with a mind of loving kindness, without inner hatred. We shall abide pervading them with a mind imbued with loving kindness, and starting with them, we shall abide pervading the all-encompassing world with a mind imbued with loving kindness, abundant, exalted, immeasurable, without hostility and without ill will. That is how we should train monks. Monks, if you keep this advice on the simile of the saw constantly in mind, do you see any cause of speech, trivial or gross, that you could not endure? No, venerable sir. Therefore, monks, you should keep this advice on the simile of the saw constantly in mind. That will lead to your welfare and happiness for a long time. That is what the Blessed One said. The monks were satisfied and delighted in the Blessed One's words. That's the end of the sutta. So this last simile that the Buddha has given is that even if you were to be caught by bandits and they saw off your limbs one by one with a two-handled saw, if you got angry, then the Buddha says you are not carrying out his teaching, you are not practicing his teachings. And the Buddha says that our minds will remain unaffected. We shall abide compassionate for their welfare, and also abide pervading them with loving kindness, and abide pervading the all-encompassing world with loving kindness, abundant, exalted, immeasurable. Now this one you notice that the Buddha is saying that we should practice this loving kindness until it becomes abundant, exalted, and immeasurable. If you look at other suttas, you will realize that the Buddha's way of practicing loving kindness and compassion is first to attain the jhana. After you attain the jhana, then only you radiate this loving kindness so that it goes and pervades immeasurable, abundant. So, unless you have that strength of mind to do this, it is not possible to practice this advice of the Buddha. You are sawed up and you don't get angry. You can only do that if the mind is so strong that the mind cannot move, right? If the mind cannot move, then it's so peaceful, nobody can move your mind. You see, like remember many years ago in Vietnam, during the No Dinh Diem regime, a Buddhist monk burned himself in front of everybody, poured petrol on himself and burned himself. If his mind was not strong, how can he stay sitting while the fire is burning his body? Right? His mind is so strong that he's unmoved, all the pain, unmoved. So these things you cannot do with a weak mind. But nowadays, what is taught by meditation monks on loving kindness is, may I be well and happy, may all beings be well and happy. So this is not the Buddha's way of teaching, but it's a simple way of teaching. So a lot of people, because they cannot practice the Buddha's way, they like this way. So you just imagine you have loving kindness, imagine you have compassion and all that. So maybe it's a first step, primary school or kindergarten, but nothing near the Buddha standard. The Buddha standard here, even if you were sawed up also, your mind is unmoving. So a lot of the Buddha's teachings, you cannot practice it with a weak mind. Impossible. You got to make your mind so strong. Otherwise you cannot practice the Buddha's teachings at all. Stop here. Con.
Can we go back to Sutta 9? every point is when the Buddha says that instead of having a central thought, we should focus on other thoughts. Thoughts of renunciation, thoughts of non-duty, thoughts of non-cruelty. So I was wondering whether these thoughts of renunciation, is it thoughts of abandonment and letting go?
No. When the Buddha here says thoughts of renunciation, it means renunciation of sensual desire. Okay. No sensual desire.
Then on the Sutta and the beginning of the song, and the Buddha is teaching metta, boundless metta. After reading in such a way, whatever others say or others do don't affect her. But I was thinking like in a practical manner, for example, if you in a community, if you have a toxic character amongst us, we are all not arahant. It will affect the community. So if we have to remove this person or ask this person to go, how does it?
It's okay if somebody is causing is a nuisance to others and obstructing others' practice. It's all right to remove him, because I remember reading somewhere, I'm not sure whether it's a Vinaya book or Sutta, there was a monk who was annoying everybody else, and the Buddha said, eject him, throw him out of the monastery. Why should we allow him to annoy everybody else? So the Buddha's, although the Buddha talks about this loving kindness and compassion and all that, the Buddha always, is always guided by wisdom. Always guided by wisdom. Buddha's compassion is always compassion with wisdom, not without wisdom.
Bhante, the simile of the sword, is it referring to the Arya? To be able to withstand the kind of pain, you have to control the mind. Is it referring to the Arya?
You can say that what the Buddha is teaching us is the ultimate, that is the ideal. But of course, very few people can practice it. You notice, for example, when we compare it with the Jesus teaching, that Jesus said, if somebody slaps you on the right cheek, you offer him the left cheek, right? That's easier to do than being sawed up and not get angry, isn't it? So the Buddha standard is much higher. That is the ideal. It's just like precepts. Precepts are training. It's quite impossible for most of us to keep the precepts 100%, right? So what we can do, we do. And over the years, slowly we progress, and then we improve, right? So we have this ideal in mind, but we may not be able to do it, never mind. The Buddha says that the spiritual path is a gradual training. So just like a baby learning how to walk, the baby falls down, never mind, get up again and try. Fall down, never mind, get up. Fall down how many times or so, never mind, as long as there is that willingness to get up again and try. That is important.
Pastor, for one question, usually we meditate, and we need to pay attention. We need to pay attention to our thoughts, or not to pay attention to our thoughts. And in order to improve our meditation.
The Buddha's meditation is to pay attention to your object of meditation. For example, your breath. You only pay attention to your breath, nothing else. But if you are unable to do that, and a lot of thoughts arise, and then you apply this, what the Sutta says. Right?
Master, I want, but to pay attention to get rid of the unwholesome thoughts. But let's say we do not pay attention is another matter.
Yeah.
So for us, beginners master, what is the best method to actually get rid of this unwholesome thoughts?
Just to continue meditating, and if you find, for example, you are meditating on the breath, it's very difficult, then you change your object. I mentioned the other day that if you find the breath meditation too difficult for you, then you can just chant Namo Buddhaya, Namo Buddhaya, Namo Buddhaya. It's simpler.
Earlier on we're talking about the developing metta. And normally, as a layperson, the way of thought is using the eye whatnot, yeah. And then you take the metta to all other beings, relative or friends, and all others. Besides that, what other better ways is there?
The one taught by the Buddha, I mentioned just now, is first to get jhana. After you get jhana, then only you can radiate out. And that is really radiating out, so that other beings can feel it. So what is taught nowadays is to imagine that you radiate metta, but you don't actually radiate.
But you see, even though we don't radiate the metta, but we feel good. It affects, it helps in our dealings with our friends or with our loved ones. When you get angry, but when you stop, hang on. So you see, you start thinking of the loving kindness. As a layperson, as a beginner, I find it helps.
I'm not saying it does not work at all. What I said, it is kindergarten level.
The thought, the lifting of metta as we do our speech, it is like conditioning our mind to think positively and then promoting good thoughts. So that I think conditioning
It is not really meditation, but because if you think of thoughts of loving kindness, then you remind yourself to practice loving kindness. And the way actually to practice loving kindness is to practice loving kindness through your body language and through your speech and through your mind. So when you talk to people, you try to speak in a kinder way instead of shouting. And also in your body action, when you talk to somebody, you pat him on the back, hug him or something like that. Then people know that you have some, you have some loving kindness, right? So these are indirect ways of practicing loving kindness. Not the way the Buddha taught, but it still works a bit. Okay, shall we end here?